Vegas Video Network Studios, just steps from the Las Vegas Strip. It's Top of the Food Chain. And now your host, he's 1 part Mohawk, 2 parts attitude, and a touch of what the f***. It's Al Mancini.
Thank you. Welcome to Top of the Food Chain on the Vegas Video Network. I'm your host, Al Mancini, a middle-aged man who is pathetically reliving his youth here in Las Vegas. And by that, I'm not referring to the way that I look or the way that I party, but rather to the fact that my date just canceled on me with 5 minutes' notice. Oh, what a flashback to the younger days. What a flashback. But I will have the television equivalent of my cousin as a secondary backup date, Mr. Scott Whitney, coming out to join me today. In just a few seconds, we are going to be talking about the most extravagant meals you can have here in Las Vegas. And I'm talking about when money is no object and you want a meal that you'll remember for the rest of your life, where do you go? I get asked that all the time. I'm going to have my advice for you in just a second on that one. In the meantime, once again, big mad props to my friends at Bread and Butter for once again sponsoring this show. A great bakery and sandwich shop over in Henderson. Got an email from somebody who had just eaten there this week and had a great time. Also, keep them in mind for St. Patrick's Day because they're having an early thing. I think what Chris Herron said to me was a place for you to bring the kids before mom and dad go out and start drinking. So it'll be happening during the day over there. Lots of food trucks. Some of my favorite food trucks will be there. Bread and Butter. Definitely one of the coolest spots in town. We are happy to have them sponsoring us once again. We will be back with Scott. We'll be talking about how to piss away money in just a second on incredible food. But first, we've got a message.
Traditional media believes that after about 3 minutes, you'll tune out. Most Vegas media companies think if it doesn't jiggle, you won't tune in. At the Vegas Video Network, we think both are wrong. The Vegas Video Network is the first and only live online broadcast network that specializes in insider news and expert views about Vegas. We combine great storytelling with the ability to watch when and where you want on your computer, mobile device, or television. Discover the real Las Vegas. Visit VegasVideoNetwork.com.
And we're back on the Vegas Video Network's Top of the Food Chain. I remain your host, Al Mancini. I haven't been relieved during the break, which is always a pleasant surprise. If you're watching live and you want to talk about extravagant food, get in the chat room right now. We've got a live chat going on, and it is the place to be. If you have a question for a future show, you can email it to us. It's at food@vegasvideonetwork.com. You know, we did away with that toll-free line. If you want to leave us a voice message, you know, Scott's very tech-savvy. So go onto the website and you click on that little thing on the left-hand side of your screen. And is that left or right? I always get confused.
Right.
The right. I thought I got it wrong.
Right.
It's the right. Sorry. Anyway, click on that and you recorded a little message for us and we will play it back. Like I said, dirty talk is always encouraged. Listen to the entire Vegas Video Network lineup, or most of it at least, at KSHP AM 1400 every Friday night. They just run us all back to back. And if you want to see more about what I'm doing, my website is almancini.net, and you can follow me on Twitter. It's almancinivegas. Okay, got that all out of the way. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for being on this side of the camera.
I have never been up here before. This is a beautiful set. What was it called? A kill box?
Yes, it was a kill box. Do you
So
feel
I'm finally at the kill box.
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
Who was talking
Who said
about the
that?
kill box?
Doesn't matter. We had to kill him. Are you pouring drinks? What's happening here?
Well, you know, I wasn't going to drink
What kind
alone.
of show are you running here?
I wasn't going to drink alone, but since you agreed to be my date for the prom.
I'm your cousin,
Yes.
sweetheart. Isn't that nice?
Oh, man. There are
This is my ugly cousin. I'm getting my ugly cousin drinking.
Some people are going to have some answering to do for the last-minute cancellation today.
If they have a restaurant, we'll just trash it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they own a corporation that sells a product here in town.
Okay, well, we won't talk about them.
Yeah,
We're all about kumbaya, aren't we, baby? Here, cheers.
You are the kumbaya master.
I'm Mr. Kumbaya.
Cheers.
Last time I sat at this very table doing this very thing, I did the biggest spit take ever.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And that was right there. Actually, this red hue that I'm currently rocking is, yeah, right, see Sally on the live chat, no spitting, they know.
You drink all through your own show.
Yeah, it's the
You and
greatest show
Melissa
ever.
always have alcohol in hand.
It's a good show. It's a pretty good show.
It's a great show.
Hey, you wanted to bring up somebody leaving the area.
Yeah, some very good friends of the show, Franck Savoy and Lee Savoy. Frank's been on here discussing fine French dining. Lee's been on discussing truffles, brought in thousands of dollars worth of white truffles. They had a going away party the other night for them. There's a picture of them cutting an incredible cake over at restaurant Guy Savoy. Franck, he had left his father's restaurant, Guy Savoy, to go on and run the entire food and beverage program at Caesar's Palace.
Right.
He's been offered the head of the food and beverage program at Four Seasons, New York.
That's pretty crazy, man.
It's great. You know what's ironic? I don't know. I always hate to Alanis Morissette that word ironic and misuse it, but it is
ironic.
It is a little ironic that he will be overseeing a Robuchon restaurant at the
is that
Four
right?
Seasons in New
Is that
York.
right?
Yeah, there's the L'Atelier.
Well, I
there.
got to say, he's the nicest. Both of them are the nicest couple. It is because of his appearance here that I went to a French restaurant, the one over at Paris. I never would have gone there had it not been for him saying, we're not trying to scare you.
Yeah.
We're trying to be actually nice and friendly. And it turns out he was right. And he's just the nicest, sweetest guy. At your book signing, he was very nice. And Lee is a sweetheart, too. So I wish him well.
Yeah, I wish them both well. And if you're in New York, make sure you go visit him at the Four Seasons. Especially, I want to go with a bunch of my punk rock friends next time I'm in New York and just kind of storm the gates of the Four Seasons.
Right.
As soon as they start looking funny, just be like, "Where's Franck? Bring out Franck."
I know the guy running the place.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Bring me some water and some bread.
So it should be fun, man. Congratulations and good luck on the move, guys.
And thanks for abandoning us, you bastard.
Yeah, well, once you set up the New York Video Network, he'll be your first guest there.
There you go.
So
I'll give him a show.
You got to think about expansion, man.
That's what I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Very good.
So, man.
What are we going to do today? What are we talking about?
I've had this kind of in reserve because I knew somebody would dump me sooner or later. I mean, the fact my wife hasn't in 20 years is amazing. I knew one of my guests would. So, something I get asked all the time. And, I've always kind of had it on the back burner. I want to talk about it on this show. And that is, I go on radio shows or I just get emails from friends and people want to say, okay, I've got money burning a hole in my pocket. Either my company went public, my grandmother died, I don't know, something happened, and I've got a lot of money and I want to spend it on one incredible, extravagant meal.
Love that.
Have you had that thought recently, Scott?
Well, have I had the thought?
Well, now you're a mogul, so I'm sure you've got...
I am not a mogul. I would be a mini mogul if I was any kind of mogul. There are times where, I guess it depends on what your definition of extravagant is, but there are times like, for instance, our 10-year anniversary is coming up. We're probably going to spend it. We're probably going to get at it a little bit.
Right.
Anniversaries, sometimes birthdays, not a lot, but there are sometimes, especially in Vegas, where you could just kind of get at it. So I'm actually kind of excited. I've seen the list, and I haven't been to any of these places.
Okay.
So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, these are not necessarily the most expensive. That wasn't my criteria. But for the most part, they're pretty darn expensive.
Sure.
But it is really the long feasts, the things that will go on forever, where you're going to get food you've never seen before, the things that will just kind of blow your mind. That this could be, for anyone who doesn't write about food or work in the restaurant business, any one of these would be a once in a lifetime meal, and you don't need another one.
Cool. Let's get at it. I'm looking forward to this.
The first is E, and it's actually E with a little asterisk line over its head, the accent mark over its head. It's a Jose Andres restaurant. It's located in the back room of Jaleo. And what makes this place cool, as you can see right here, this is how close you sit to the chefs as they make your food by hand.
So they're on your table? Is that what's going on?
There's one table in the entire restaurant.
Oh.
It is one room, one table, beautifully decorated, and it's kind of like a blackjack table, as if the chefs sit where the dealers would sit.
Okay.
And I think no more than 8, maybe no more than 6, but I think it's no more than 8 people are allowed in the restaurant at the time.
In the whole restaurant?
It's a one-room restaurant.
Oh, okay.
So, and you have 3 chefs making food right in front of you on the other side of the table. You have at least 2 servers in there. So there's 5 to 6 people serving no more than 8 people. You do 15 courses.
Really?
If that wasn't enough, I don't know if anybody out there knows the phrase molecular gastronomy?
I've heard you mention it, and I've heard you mention that this guy doesn't care for that term, I guess.
He doesn't like the term because he invented it. He helped invent it. When he was at a restaurant called El Bulli, an assistant chef at El Bulli in Spain, he and his boss kind of invented this this scientific cooking method. And this is stuff where, and you've seen it, some of it on Top Chef and things like that. You make crazy foams, but these guys take it to just extremes. I've had dishes, not by them, but where you take a powder and you put it in your mouth and it expands into a creamy dessert, like just things like that.
Oh, that's fine.
And it's all this kind of stuff. 15 courses of it done directly in front of your eyes.
Awesome.
And
do you know do you get the whole place for yourself, or is it a couple here and a couple here and a couple here kind of thing, or is it, how does that work? How do you know who you're going to sit?
You don't know who you're going to sit with. Okay. You can book out the whole table. I think it's a little more expensive if you do it that way.
Right.
No discount actually for doing it that way. A little pricier. When I was there, I was lucky enough for it to just be my wife and myself.
Oh, is that right?
And that was so two people, and it was crazy. It's a 15-course meal. They're currently pricing it at $160 a person. Does not include beverages.
Right.
Does not include tax and tip.
Doesn't sound terrible.
Still a bargain.
Yeah.
Of the places I'm going to mention, that's a bargain, especially for this personalized one-on-one service.
How about beverages? Do they have full cocktail or a full menu, a cocktail menu? Do they have wine? And what's the deal there?
When I went, they used to do a wine pairing with one particular beer that was actually designed in El Bulli, I think it's called. I buy it sometimes in the supermarket. But anyway, this one Spanish beer they used to have, but mostly wine. And at the time at the time I went, it was included in the price, but it was a higher price.
Right.
They recently were doing that pairing for about $110 a head.
Okay.
I was told on the phone today that they don't offer the pairing, but that was by the Cosmopolitan's concierge. I don't necessarily know that they're on top of it.
Yeah.
So they may still be offering a wine and beer pairing for about $110 a head.
So you're at 15 courses. How long does that take?
I'd say, a lot of people have rushed up these multi-course meals here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Things that used to take 3 or 4 hours are now being done in 2 and 2.5.
Right.
I was there a good year ago, and I think they probably, I would guess, if I was going to guess, I'd say probably set aside 2 hours to 2.5 hours of your night for that.
So is the 15 meals, is it like heavier, light, heavy, light again? I mean, how does that map out? Is it a bell curve of food kind of deal?
In general, the fine dining, rules are sort of, you do your appetizers, and then you move into, your appetizers, which can be land or sea, and then you head into your main seafood dishes, and then you head into your poultry dishes, and then you head into your meats, and then you go into your desserts. That's the way a tasting menu generally progresses. Since these are not traditional foods, these are not traditional, dishes, it doesn't exactly follow that, but it still follows that kind of the way that a meal's supposed to progress.
Right. So, Kat on the chat here says that they have a mocktail pairing that was very good.
I would never know about such a thing, Kat.
I don't know what a mocktail pairing is, but
it means a pairing of non-alcoholic beverages.
Oh, and she said that she thought it was 24 courses.
It can be.
The last 6 being dessert.
It changes all the time. And honestly, I don't think they will ever tell you how many courses it's going to be. It was 15 when I went. It changes. This is the most fluid of any of the places that I'm going to talk about, because you just don't know how many courses you're going to get. And a lot of the people that I'm about to talk about, a lot of these restaurants, what we may call 5 courses, they classify as one course, because there's 5 different dishes that come out together. Right. So it's really tough. And then when you put amuse-bouches into it, and it gets really...
Frank taught me what an amuse-bouche was.
So, once you throw the amuse dishes in, these are rough numbers. Every number of courses I'm going to give you today is kind of a rough number.
How long does it take to get reservations there? Is it a month, a year? I mean, what's the deal on that?
It is, I've been told, and they officially say you can only make reservations via email. I have called and had people say you can make reservations. It's a very strange little place.
Yeah.
I would just recommend call the Cosmo first. They may tell you it has to be done via email. Plan 30 days in advance, because it can take 30 days to get it. I think that's when they open up the reservation book there, is 30 days in advance.
I'm in. What's next?
Next up, what do we have up next? We have Twist by Pierre Gagnère. This is generally was going to be my next most affordable restaurant, but this month they're going to also have what's the most expensive of what I'm going to do. But I'll explain that to you in a second. Pierre Gagnère, we have 3 Michelin chefs from Paris, Michelin 3-star chefs from Paris that are operating here in actually 4, but the 3 big ones are Robuchon, Guy Savoy, and Pierre Gagnère. These are the guys that are running the totally out-of-control places. Gagnère is the mad scientist among them. He is the closest to that molecular gastronomy that I was talking about of any of these Paris guys. He's and his courses, when you have them, are often ones where, like his dessert course is 5 desserts served simultaneously. They're all crazy. They're this kind of things I say where they do, a lot of what he does is wacky. It's stuff you would never, it's things in liquid form that should be in solid form. Right. I mean, he's just,
Fun.
He's nuts. He'll make like potato ice creams and I mean, just, off the wall stuff. If you go there, normally, the 6-course tasting menu, which, like I said, could be as many as 18 courses when you average it all out, and normally goes for $189. Sorry, I've got my notes down here because these numbers change. $189 a person, and the wine pairings that are offered right now are $106 or $161 a person. So that's still relatively affordable for these feasts. I'm actually going there on Monday, and when I made the reservation, they said, "Oh, can we do a tasting menu for you?" And when I asked my guest if she was up for that, she said, "As long as it doesn't take more than 3 hours," because that's what you worry about. But here in Las
Are you going to invite? So I didn't get invited to that. Oh, I'm your second player here. But, second cousin, twice removed. But when I want to go to the fancy place,
I couldn't invite you because in addition to my guest who said that, John Curtis is also going to be there, and I know he caused you a lot of work by saying bad words. Yeah.
John who?
So I can't invite you and John. I can't invite you and John to the same event.
He gets to go to all these things free. I don't get to go to any of this stuff. Oh my
God. No, we're paying.
Mogul? What mogul?
We're paying for this one.
No, never mind. Didn't have John go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you want to break out the black card, man,
I don't have a black card. Black heart, black soul. Not a black card.
Here's the thing. At the end of this month, Pierre Gagnère, he comes to town about 3 or 4 times a year, I think, usually when the new menus are in season. He's going to be here at the end of the month, the 22nd through the 30th.
Right.
That, first of all, is just if you're a foodie, that's an amazing reason to go. But he's offering a Krug tasting menu paired with Krug champagnes. It is, I just found out about this a few hours ago, $1,198 a person.
Oh, well, let me
but, Krug champagne, well worth it. I mean, Krug is one of the best houses of champagne in the world.
Right, sure.
And you rarely see vintage Krug with a year written on it.
Right.
If you're anybody out there, if you see Krug, they don't bother putting a year because Krug is much like a blended whiskey where they blend the different grapes to make it taste exactly the same every year. So they don't want you to worry about what year it is.
Right.
Most champagnes don't. Most wines, they're not like that.
Yeah.
That's Krug's goal. Once in a while, maybe every 15 or so years, 20, I don't know how many, they come across one grape in their vineyards that they use that they just say, this combination is so good, it's not going to taste like the rest of Krug. We're going to bottle this, we're going to put it away. Almost impossible to find. 2 restaurants that I'm mentioning have Krug tastings.
Cool.
And that is where you get these vintage Krugs, which are very, very hard to find. We're talking extravagant here. I mean,
did you mention the style of restaurant it is? I'm not sure if I caught that or not. The overall, the umbrella style of it.
It's French.
Okay.
Again, I said he was a Paris chef. It's French. It's got, again, that experimental quality,
right.
that mad scientist quality that Gagnère is known for. It is at the top of the Mandarin Oriental. And, as we said when John and I were talking about the Mandarin Oriental, it is the epitome. Yeah, I mean, it is your Cinderella when you're at the
dress nice, I'm assuming. Suit, coat, at least. Probably.
I always, everybody in town now is business casual.
Yeah.
Nobody needs a tie. At a place like this, I'd do my normal. I'd wear this T-shirt with a regular suit over it.
Right.
I saw a guy in there with kind of short sleeves, and I thought that was a little disrespectful.
Right.
But I don't know, the really hot hooker that he was with didn't seem to mind, and neither did the management. So I guess he had money to throw around.
Now, can you go in there? I mean, I know that we're talking extravagant, and I like that theme. But can I also go there and get something a little less than $168 a person?
Every place I'm mentioning has a cart menu.
Okay.
As a la carte from the cart. But the French will just say I ordered from the cart. So a cart. Well, you know the phrase a la carte.
I do know
right?
that, but I wouldn't. If somebody said, "Would you like the cart menu?" I'd go, "Is that where I pick the steak?" Because I've seen that happen. I know that'll have the big beefy steak.
Yeah. Everybody has. You can order a la carte in all of these restaurants.
Okay.
You can get away for a lot less money. But I'm just talking about if you want all the bells and whistles. This place, by the way, it's very high up at Mandarin Oriental, which is right.